5:12 local time, North Atlantic. From the flight deck, the ocean seems almost deserted. Low gray clouds hang overhead, and the lights shimmer against the slow swell. Flight operations continue right on schedule, calm and routine. Deep below, inside the carrier's Combat Information Center, a single headset crackles to life. Transient, bearing 098. Possible submerged contact. No alarm sounds, no sudden reaction, just a subtle change in posture. The acoustic operator leans closer, eyes fixed on the waterfall display. A thin, uneven trace flickers across the screen. Not marine life, not surface traffic, something mechanical. Con, sonar. We have a faint, narrow band return. Diesel signature, intermittent cavitation. The carrier does not alter course. It does not need to. For now, the task is simple. Detect and follow. The tactical action officer answers evenly. Do not classify yet. At 5:13, a guided missile destroyer off the starboard quarter confirms the anomaly. Its ASW system marks a ghostly signal below the thermocline, roughly 900 feet down. The contact is moving slowly, around 6 knots, holding steady. The North Atlantic is layered this morning. A sharp thermal boundary bends sound in unpredictable ways, exactly the kind of conditions a submarine would want if it were trying to vanish. Possible kilo variant, the destroyer reports. Profile not confirmed. That word possible lingers in the air. Project 636, the improved Kilo class, is known for staying extremely quiet at low speed. Diesel electric, built for patience. Built to wait in silence until something much larger moves into reach. At 5:14, the contact changes course. Bearing shift, 5 degrees starboard, speed now 8 knots. It is not drifting, it is maneuvering. Inside CIC, no one raises their voice. Above, the carrier's air wing continues launching and recovering aircraft as if nothing has changed. Radar shows a clear sky. On the surface, the formation remains tight and disciplined. Nothing in the strike group's posture suggests concern. Condition 3, the TAO says calmly. Set ASW watch. Maintain formation. No klaxons, no shouting. Just a quiet tightening of the net. At 5:15, passive sonar aboard the cruiser on the port side catches a metallic sound. Short, hollow, internal. Not propulsion, not ballast. The acoustic chief rewinds the audio and listens again through his headset. Clank, pause. A low hydraulic whine. He looks up. Con, sonar, possible outer door cycling. Recommends status review. On a Kilo-class submarine, that sound can come just before tube preparation. The updated range is 11 nautical miles. Close enough to matter, not close enough to lose control. On the bridge, the captain studies the tactical display without expression. The carrier holds 20 knots, same heading. Deploy helo. At 5:17, on the destroyer's flight deck, an MH-60R Seahawk begins to spin up. Deck crews move with practiced precision, quick but never rushed. The helicopter lifts into the gray sky, banks low over the water, and drops to 200 feet. Its job is not dramatic, it is exact. Back in CIC, the contact descends another 10 feet, then steadies at 910 feet. Speed climbs again, now 10 knots. That shift changes the geometry. Contact is reducing lateral separation, the surface warfare coordinator notes. Vector suggests parallel shadow. The submarine is not moving blindly. It is pacing the carrier. At 5:19, the Seahawk reaches its initial datum. The dipping sonar enters the water with a clean splash. The first ping rolls outward in a controlled acoustic wave. Nothing. Second ping. A faint return comes back, distorted by the thermal layer. Third ping. Solid contact. Air confirms submarine bearing 096, range 9.8 nautical miles. Now the picture sharpens. Hull shape, screw blade count, acoustic harmonics. Confirmed. Improved Kilo-class profile. A Kilo-class submarine valued at roughly $20 million in export form is sitting less than 10 miles from a U.S. nuclear-powered aircraft carrier. No flares, no radio challenge, no warning display, just calculation. At 5:21, the submarine adjusts course another 20 degrees toward the carrier's projected path. Speed increases to 12 knots. The acoustic team catches another metallic sound, longer this time. Con, sonar, high confidence, tube outer door open. The words are delivered as calmly as a routine forecast. Still, the carrier does not turn. Instead, the strike group quietly tightens its unseen perimeter. Destroyers make subtle course corrections, narrowing the arcs. The cruiser refines its control grid. Encrypted data streams flow silently between ships, invisible to anyone outside the hull. Above them, the Seahawk releases its first sonobuoy in pattern Alpha. The submarine is no longer a ghost. It is now inside a three-dimensional field of sensors. At 5:22, the range drops to 8 nautical miles. In less than 4 minutes, if something is launched at standard sprint speed, it would have enough time in the water to become a serious problem. Inside CIC, the TAO folds his arms. The submarine thinks it's stalking, he says quietly. On the main display, the contact icon pulses a steady red beneath the carrier's projected track. It doesn't realize it's already inside the box. 5:23 local time. The North Atlantic remains gray and indifferent above the surface. Below it, the geometry is closing. Range 8.2 nautical miles, sonar reports. Contact steady at 12 knots, depth 915 feet. The Seahawk hovers low over the datum, rotor wash carving faint circles into the water. Inside the cabin, the sensor operator studies the sonar returns. Strong hull reflection, confirmed kilo class. No escort signatures detected. No escort. That simplifies the picture. At 5:24, the tactical action officer gives a single nod. Establish barrier pattern, Alpha complete. Transition to Bravo. The helicopter banks and drops a second line of sonobuoys 500 yards east of the first, then another to the south. A triangle begins to take shape. The submarine is no longer simply detected. Now it is being measured. On the cruiser's display, the acoustic lines begin to pull together. Triangulation is getting cleaner. Contact bearing 094, the ASW coordinator says. Course correction toward carrier track. Speed now 14 knots. 14 knots is no longer the pace of a submarine quietly trailing from a distance. That is movement with intent. Inside CIC, no one says the word hostile. Not yet. At 5:25, a narrow spike cuts across the passive array. Transient high-frequency burst, sonar reports. Possible pump activation. A second metallic resonance follows, longer this time, more deliberate. The acoustic chief doesn't hesitate. Con, sonar, tube 2 cycling, high confidence, weapon prep. For half a heartbeat, the room goes completely still. On the bridge, the captain keeps his eyes on the horizon. Execute maneuver Delta. The carrier shifts 10 degrees to port. Not sharp, not panicked, just enough to make a firing solution less comfortable. Below, the submarine keeps closing. Range 7.1 nautical miles, the destroyer reports. Angle on bow decreasing. At that distance, a 533mm wake-homing torpedo would need less than 4 minutes to reach its terminal phase. In the Seahawk, the tension starts to bleed into every voice on the headset. Deploy active sweep, the aircraft commander says. The next sonar pulse is stronger, louder. It moves through the water column like a warning bell. This time the return comes back crisp. The Kilo's outline is unmistakable now. Cylindrical hull, faint sail structure. Clear enough in the acoustic image to erase any lingering doubt. They know we can see them, the sensor operator says quietly. At 5:27, the submarine reacts. Contact accelerating, sonar announces. Now 16 knots. Depth holding. 16 knots on diesel-electric propulsion means more cavitation. More cavitation means more noise. More noise means less stealth. The submarine is giving up silence to gain position. Recommend weapons posture review, the ASW coordinator says. The TAO never looks up. Stand by ASROC. Do not launch. On the destroyer, the vertical launch system waits in silence. Inside one of those cells sits a RUM-139 anti-submarine rocket, built to carry a lightweight torpedo directly over a submerged contact within seconds. Still, no one fires first without certainty. 5:28. Another spike appears. This one feels different. Con, sonar, high-speed mechanical transient, possible inner door open. The acoustic chief rewinds the buffer. There it is again. The distinct hydraulic whine of a torpedo being equalized for launch. Range now 6.4 nautical miles. Inside CIC, breathing stays steady. Time to firing solution? The captain asks over the circuit. Under 90 seconds if they're hot, comes the reply. The carrier keeps moving forward. Engines remain steady at 20 knots. Flight deck operations have stopped. Aircraft are secured. Above deck, nothing looks urgent. Below deck, every system is fully awake. At 5:29, the Seahawk changes position. Recommend immediate sonobuoy drop ahead of contact, the aircrew commander says. Boxing maneuver approved. A buoy splashes down directly along the submarine's projected path. Seconds later, its receiver comes alive. Contact bearing steady, the operator confirms. Submarine committed on intercept vector. Committed. That word lands hard. The submarine is no longer pacing the carrier from the side. It is cutting across the bow, setting up a classic ambush angle. Close range, forward arc, almost no time to react. At 5:30, the destroyer's fire control team completes the solution. ASROC solution ready. Hold, the TAO says. Then it happens. A sharp acoustic crack slices through the passive feed, followed by a surge of broadband noise. Con, sonar, the operator calls. High-speed screw rotation detected. Possible launch. The screen blooms with a new contact, small, fast, accelerating. Range 6 nautical miles, speed 40+ knots, bearing stable. 40+ knots is torpedo speed. Inside CIC, no one shouts. The TAO gives a single order. Deploy Nixie, execute countermeasure protocol. A towed decoy drops into the Atlantic behind the carrier, projecting a false acoustic signature meant to pull a wake-homing torpedo away from the ship. ASROC, fire, the captain says. At 5:31, a VLS cell bursts open in flame. The anti-submarine rocket clears the deck and arcs into the sky, racing toward the designated splash point. Below the surface, the sprinting contact keeps closing. 3 minutes to impact. Inside CIC, every eye is fixed on 2 tracks drawing toward each other. One descending from above, one racing through the dark from below. If the submarine launches again, the margin gets even tighter. The Seahawk circles overhead in a tight pattern. Contact still accelerating, the aircrew reports. Submarine speed now 18 knots. 18 knots. The Hunter has gone loud, and now the ocean is about to respond. 5:31:40 local time. The ASROC is already coming down over the Atlantic. Its motor burns out cleanly, and the payload separates mid-arc. A compact lightweight torpedo descending under parachute toward coordinates calculated less than 10 seconds earlier. Below the surface, the inbound contact keeps driving forward. Range 5.2 nautical miles, sonar reports. Weapon speed 45 knots, bearing steady. 45 knots translates to roughly 75 feet per second. Time to intercept, under 3 minutes. The carrier does not surge ahead. Instead, it angles another 5 degrees to port. Small, measured, just enough to stretch the torpedo's acquisition geometry. Deploy second Nixie, the TAO orders. Another acoustic decoy splashes into the Atlantic, transmitting a louder, more attractive signature than the carrier's own propellers. A false giant, a false pulse in the water. 5:32. The ASROC torpedo hits the sea. Splash. For half a second, nothing. Then, water entry confirmed, the destroyer reports. Torpedo running. Inside CIC, 2 underwater tracks now burn across the tactical display. One inbound, one hunting. Seahawk, maintain top cover, the ASW coordinator says. The helicopter banks hard, its crew following both wakes through sonobuoy data and rapid dipping sonar updates. Primary submarine contact now 18 knots, the sensor operator reports. Cavitation increasing. At 18 knots, a diesel-electric hull is no longer a whisper in the deep. It can still move, but it cannot hide. It's no longer cautious. It's under pressure. 5:32:30. Con, sonar, torpedo adjusting bearing, it's searching. Wake-homing systems don't just charge forward. They hunt. They look for turbulence, for the distinct acoustic trail of large propellers. Behind the carrier, the decoys come alive. Countermeasure signal strong, the EW tech confirms. The incoming weapon wavers slightly off its original path, then corrects. Still closing. Range 4.1 nautical miles, 2 minutes. Meanwhile, the outbound torpedo from the ASROC accelerates. Hunter weapon speed 30 knots, the destroyer reports. Descending to contact depth. 05:33. A sudden broadband spike floods the passive array. Con, sonar, submarine changing depth, rapid descent. The Kilo drops another 40 feet, trying to slip beneath the expected search layer. Too late. Hunter weapon acquiring, the ASW coordinator says quietly. On the display, the outbound torpedo tightens its pattern. Its seeker is now active, scanning for the loudest target in the water. The inbound torpedo makes its choice. Contact shifting, sonar calls. Inbound weapon bearing drift, 3 degrees starboard, now 6. It's locking onto something. The decoy's artificial signature overwhelms the carrier's wake. Range 3 nautical miles, weapon no longer aligned with carrier. No one reacts outwardly. 5:33:40. The inbound torpedo commits fully. Its track curves sharply away from the carrier, drawn toward the decoy. Impact on decoy expected in 20 seconds. On the surface, everything remains steady. The carrier cuts forward through the gray water, unchanged. Below, a sudden white flash. Explosion recorded, sonar reports. Decoy destroyed, no hull impact. The carrier is untouched, but the situation isn't over. The outbound torpedo is still running. Range to submarine 1.8 nautical miles, the destroyer announces. The Kilo makes one last move. Submarine speed now 20 knots, high cavitation, propulsion stressed. At that speed, a diesel-electric submarine is anything but quiet. Every rotation of its propeller sends noise through the water. Hunter weapon terminal phase, the ASW coordinator confirms, 5:34:15. A second detonation rolls through the Atlantic, deeper, heavier. Inside CIC, silence holds for 3 full seconds. The acoustic team replays the data. Con, sonar, strong explosion at submarine depth. Secondary metallic reverberation, propulsion noise degraded. On the display, the submarine's icon flickers. Speed drops from 20 knots to 8, then 4. Contact losing propulsion integrity, sonar continues. Irregular shaft rotation detected. The torpedo didn't miss. It may not have fully destroyed the hull, but it has taken away the submarine's advantage. It's silence. 5:35. The Kilo is no longer tracking the carrier. It's struggling. Submarine speed 3 knots. Depth unstable. Ballast cycling. Above, the Seahawk crew watches the disturbed water below. They're damaged, the pilot says quietly. Inside CIC, the captain clasps his hands behind his back. Maintain pressure. Do not lose contact. No celebration, no escalation. Because a damaged submarine is still a threat. And at this range, stealth is already gone. 5:35:40 local time. Above the surface, the Atlantic remains calm. Below, everything has shifted. Submarine speed 3 knots, sonar repeats. Depth 960 feet. Ballast cycling irregular. Irregular means damage. It also means unpredictable. No one in CIC assumes this is finished. A submarine in this condition can still act, and it likely still has more than 1 torpedo. Maintain track, expand barrier, the TAO orders. The Seahawk moves east, dropping another sonobuoy to seal the last gap in the acoustic net. Within seconds, fresh data flows back into the system. On the display, the red icon flickers again. Contact attempting depth change, descending past 1,000 feet. The captain studies the screen. They're trying to disappear in the lower layer. At that depth, sound bends more aggressively. Signals scatter. Under normal conditions, it might be enough to slip away. But not now. Cavitation remains high, the acoustic chief reports. Prop shaft misaligned. Every turn of that damaged shaft broadcasts its position. 5:37. Range to carrier increasing, the destroyer announces. Submarine no longer on intercept vector. The geometry confirms it. Instead of cutting across the carrier's path, the submarine is turning away, slowly, unevenly, trying to create distance. Course shift 20 degrees starboard, speed holding 3 knots. The strike group adjusts with it. The cruiser tightens its arc. The destroyer edges closer, maintaining control without closing too aggressively. The Seahawk holds position just beyond visual range of where the submarine might surface. No one says what comes next, no one needs to. 5:39. Another sound rolls through the passive feed. Pressure hull stress audible, sonar reports. Emergency ballast purge detected. That isn't subtle. That's survival. Moments later, the acoustic pattern changes again. No longer controlled adjustments, now rapid vertical movement. They're coming up, the ASW coordinator says quietly. The captain gives a small nod. Clear surface picture. Weapons hold. 5:41. The ocean surface breaks. First, a faint disturbance. Then, suddenly, the conning tower bursts through the gray water, throwing spray in every direction. The submarine surfaces hard, listing slightly to port. Water pours off its dark hull. Exhaust vents release vapor into the cold air. From the Seahawk's camera, the image is unmistakable. Submarine surfaced, the pilot confirms. Multiple personnel visible topside. Through magnification, crew members emerge from the hatch. Bright life vests. One sailor gripping the railing tightly. No weapons visible, no aggressive posture. Just a damaged vessel and a crew trying to stabilize. Inside CIC, the display updates. Contact speed 0, surface confirmed. The destroyer moves slightly closer, still maintaining distance. Its main gun shifts, not aimed, not fired, just clearly ready. The cruiser keeps its systems locked in passive mode. The carrier never slows. 5:43. The Seahawk drops to 300 feet, circling wide. Cameras capture every detail. Visible damage to aft section, the sensor operator reports. Discoloration near propulsion area, likely impact point. Forward hull appears intact. The submarine floats on the surface, no longer hidden, no longer silent, and no longer in control of the situation. The Kilo rides low in the water now, still afloat, but clearly battered. A signal lamp flashes briefly from the sail, too distant to read. No distress flare, no radio call, just a reminder that it is still there. On the carrier, the captain listens to the update without any visible reaction. Maintain overwatch, do not close inside 2 nautical miles. There will be no boarding, no seizure. This is international water. The goal was never total destruction. The goal was to deny the attack and take control of the situation. 5:45. The submarine's diesel engines cough back to life on the surface. A ribbon of dark smoke trails behind as it begins a slow turn away from the carrier strike group. Contact heading 045, sonar confirms. Speed increasing to 4 knots. Surface transit. The geometry changes once more. Now the distance is opening. The Seahawk completes one final orbit. The destroyer eases back into its screening position. Inside CIC, the red symbol shifts to amber. Threat neutralized. Not sunk, not erased, neutralized. At 5:47, the captain gives one final instruction. Log the event, resume standard formation. The carrier continues across the North Atlantic as though nothing happened. Behind it, a $20 million submarine limps away on the surface, its concealment gone, its ambush broken, its message answered without a single strike on the carrier itself. There is no celebration, only disciplined quiet. Because in modern naval operations, the most decisive outcome is often the one that ends before things go any further, and this one ended with steel rising out of the sea, not in triumph, but in surrender to pressure, damage, and simple physics. 5:48 local time. The North Atlantic slips back toward routine. On radar, the surface submarine is now just a slow-moving contact above the waterline, no longer a hidden underwater threat. Its wake is thin, its speed is modest, its posture is unmistakably defensive. Range increasing, sonar reports. Submarine steady on 045, speed 5 knots. 5 knots is not tactical movement. 5 knots is departure speed. The Seahawk holds at 500 feet, just long enough to capture final imagery. Propulsion housing damage, heat bloom along the aft section, emergency ballast stains still visible along the hull. Inside the helicopter, the sensor operator timestamps the footage. Full visual confirmation complete, no weapons exposed. No secondary launch indications. On the submarine, the deck crew avoid looking up at the aircraft for long. One sailor stands near the sail, scanning the horizon through binoculars. Another adjusts a line along the casing, hands steady, careful, deliberate. No salute, no flare, no dramatic gesture, just quiet acknowledgement. Back in the carrier's Combat Information Center, the display has settled. The red threat symbol is reclassified. Amber, then white. Hostile submarine neutralized, the ASW coordinator says for the record. No further aggression detected. The captain listens and gives a small nod. Resume standard ASW posture. Maintain passive track until contact exits the operational envelope. No pursuit order, no finishing move. The objective was never annihilation. It was control. 5:52. The destroyer returns to its assigned screening station. The cruiser widens its arc. Below deck, the carrier's air wing resumes pre-flight checks. Above deck, sailors who never felt the shock below the waterline return to their stations. The Atlantic wind still carries the same cold edge it had 40 minutes earlier. But inside CIC, the data keeps coming in. Acoustic signatures captured. Propulsion irregularities logged. Launch profile recorded down to the millisecond. The submarine believed it was closing in unseen. Instead, it handed over its entire acoustic fingerprint to the strike group's library. 5:55. Contact now 12 nautical miles and opening, sonar says. At this distance, the Kilo-class submarine is no longer positioned for an effective ambush. By surfacing, it gave up the one advantage it depended on most: concealment. The captain steps away from the tactical display and glances briefly at the clock. 43 minutes from first transient to surface withdrawal. 43 minutes to dismantle an ambush. No strike on the carrier, no hull damage, no uncontrolled escalation, only measured force applied at exactly the right moments. The Seahawk peels away and returns to the destroyer's deck. Rotors slow. Tie-down chains lock into place. The crew exchange short nods, controlled and professional. Mission complete. 6:01. The submarine continues east-northeast, still on the surface. Smoke from the diesels thins as speed stabilizes. Contact exiting sensor dominance in approximately 7 minutes, sonar notes. The carrier never changed speed beyond minor course corrections. Its reactors remain steady. Its outline on the horizon never wavers. A $20 million submarine tried to challenge a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier. It left exposed, not destroyed. Exposed. 6:04. Contact range 18 nautical miles, sonar reports. Acoustic strength diminishing. The ASW coordinator leans back slightly. Passive track only. No further pressure is needed. The point has already been made. In the ship's log, a new entry appears. 5:12, submerged contact detected. 5:31, incoming torpedo engaged and defeated. 5:34, ASROC strike degraded hostile propulsion. 5:41, submarine surfaced. 5:47, hostile contact withdrew. No adjectives, no commentary, only facts. Above the surface, the ocean absorbs the tension as quickly as it created it. The submarine becomes smaller and smaller against the steel gray sea. 608. Contact lost beyond acoustic reliability. Sonar finally says. The icon disappears from the screen. White space replaces it. The captain folds his hands behind his back. Stand down to condition 3. No applause follows, only the steady rhythm of a carrier strike group moving forward. Because this is what modern naval power looks like. Precision instead of panic, control instead of chaos, dominance without spectacle. A submarine tried to stalk. It launched first. It lost concealment, lost propulsion, and was forced to the surface under the watch of circling rotors and trained optics. And the carrier never stopped moving. Out here, victory is not measured by wreckage on the seafloor. It is measured by who stays on course and who is forced into the open.